Hello, Facebook. It's Reid from ReidAboutSex.com.
And Cathy from theintimacydojo.com.
And we've got sandcastle things going on right behind us. We are in Monterey doing a work weekend, recuperating from camp, and this is a little sex ed business video because Cathy has been talking about leadership and self-care. So as you sign on, let us know where you are today. We're at the beach. Look at the beach.
For another hour.
For another hour, and then we have to go back to civilization. And you had some thoughts on leadership and self-care.
Well, we were talking about how I was talking about there were some cleanup issues in the community, and I was talking about whose job it was to step forward of the parties involved to clean it up. And you had your thought was a leader doesn't worry so much about whose responsibility it is to step forward. If they're involved, they step forward and try to help clean things up, which I think is really good advice. And I shared it with someone else who said, yeah, and I'm tired of being the one that always steps forward. And yeah, self-care has to take part of that too. If you're always the one who has to step forward, that can be really tiring after a while. It's a lot of effort, a lot of space holding. And we don't always have to do that. Like, to still be a leader doesn't mean we always have to step forward and clean up the messes. We do get to take care of ourselves, because if we don't, the first rule of rescue is don't add to the body count. So I think that finding that balance between, okay, I have the bandwidth to step forward right now and help clean this up, initiate this conversation, versus, wow, I'm really exhausted and I don't have the bandwidth to hold space for people right now. It's okay to say no and still be a leader. It's okay to actually role model as a leader that you get to take care of yourself and either delay having the conversation or not be the one who initiates the conversation at all.
I think I would add to it, where this is tricky is, like, my advice is coming from a really privileged place of, 1, being an extrovert, 2, being a dude, 3, being a white dude, and then 4, having a business that's somewhat successful or where I'm somewhat well known. So it can be easy for me, because I'll usually have the resources, and air quotes around easy. It doesn't mean it's comfortable. It doesn't mean that I'm rolling my eyes being like, God damn it, like,
not again.
Why do I have to go in and clean up the spilt milk? But at the same time, it's, if the situation's going to get better and no one else is taking action, for me personally, it's like, well, I might as well do it, which works really well for my martyr complex, by the way, and my white savior syndrome. But it's more of a, like, if I'm gonna make sure I have the resources to step in and at least acknowledge that there's a problem and acknowledge that something needs to happen, then at least I can feel like I tried. And then if I need to wash my hands of it, which for me is usually after 3 attempts, then I feel like I did a thorough job, and then I can be like, well, I tried, and here's the proof that I tried, and, come back to me when you're ready to have a conversation. Now that's all coming, right now, just kind of extemporaneously having this conversation. And self-care is going to be imminent, because if you keep crossing your own boundaries, then not only are you going to be just inconvenienced that no one else is cleaning up the mess, but you'll start to get passive aggressive about it. And then if you're constantly trying to clean up a mess that nobody else wants to take responsibility for, like you're doing it like 8, 9, 10 times you're showing up, I'm going to tell you should, like, set your number at 3 and then just be done with it. And then figure out a way to be complete about things that are incomplete.
Yeah. But I do think that it was a good concept, because someone hurt my feelings, or your batteries. It's so perpetual. You need a better battery.
Don't phone shame me for my battery. My battery can cut out whenever it wants. It's self-care. My phone wants to shut off.
My feelings were hurt by somebody, and I was talking about that, and that's when the whole conversation came up, because I was like waiting for them to kind of make amends, and Reid was like, if there's a bad feeling in the community, and you're directly involved, then someone who steps forward and takes care of it is going to leave the community stronger, and rather than having these little petty resentments kind of floating around. So if you can step forward, if you can say, even if it's not your job, it's the other person's job, it might be useful sometimes to say, hey, I'm having these feelings, I'd like to talk about it and clean it up. And you get to say, not today. You get to say, I don't want to ever do it, if that's what you need for self-care.
The other thing to add in, I think it's appropriate to ask for a third person to come in, especially if there's a lot of power dynamics involved, where you can be like, I would like to have this conversation. I'm requesting that there be a third person, like a non-involved party, not necessarily just for mediation, but just as witnessing. And again, like if you're hanging out with people who demand that it only happen in private, when there's power dynamics, I think that's a really good sign that you're hanging out with people who aren't savvy around power dynamics, or who are trying to use the power dynamics to their advantage, because they don't want to let go of power, and that's basically a kind of abuse. So you should be wary of that. And then the front-loading piece is to try to hang out with and build partnerships with and co-working relationships with, or collaborations with people who are savvy about these things. Or if they're not savvy, they're actually really willing to learn and get better at these things. That doesn't make it comfortable, but it does make things easier over the long haul when everyone's growing and is willing to consider new information and change their behavior.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Do you want to, since it's not so bright?
Oh, I think I can show you my toes today.
It's not quite as bright. Do you want me to do it?
No, I think, there you go. It's near Cathy's face. All right, so you paint the toenails. Paint the toenails.
All ready for Burning Man.
All ready for Burning Man. So if you're going to be a Burning Man, let me know where, or come by 745 and E. I'll be hanging out with Camp Beaverton for Wayward Girls and 8-Bit Bunny. So stop on by.
Yep.
And that's it.
Yep, we're going to take one more splash and then head on home.
All right. Leave your comments. We'll check it out later. Bye, everyone. How do I shut it off?